Hello everyone and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. Yes, the conversation always starts here. So, on today's edition we'll be extracting the elections, the local government elections that just happened just this past weekend, and a whole lot of persons have so much to say in line with that. In River State, they were saying it was illegal and there was no election. That's coming from PDP and APC. They said there was no election that was held, and then they are going to go to the courts. Let's move away from PDP and then from River State rather, and then come down to the Middle Belt, Benue State. The same incident happening, saying a whole lot of irregularities happened, despite the fact that the governor came out to say that the election was free, fair, and credible, given the fact that he also mentioned that the Benues, those from Benue State, had to decide on on who they wanted to be their local government chairman. A lot of persons have argued differently and said, nah, that was not the case. But we are going to be looking at those angles, looking at it also from what has happened in the north. But we would focus more on the judicial aspects, where I have a guest with me who would help us understand all of that, who is a legal practitioner actually. So, but before we get into all of that, with the whole crisis going on in River State, let me just play you a little bit of the clip from River State about the fire and then the outburst that has been happening over the weekend. Please just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Gunshot ongoing live here in the local government of Obiakpa Council. Gunshot from the outside. We don't know. There are gunshots so far. There are gunshots. This is happening live in Obiakpa. 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 Wait now. This is happening live in Obiakpa. This is happening live in Obiakpa. This is the current situation in Obiakpa. This is the current situation in Obiakpa. This is the current situation in Obiakpa. Reporting live on Capital TV. This is the current situation in Obiakpa.
Olomate is disturbing the peace of element. I thought you go out on Olomate. Bonnie Element local government council secretariat. It's Olomate handwork. God brought you to disturb the peace of element people. The legacy of Olomate, no accomplishment. This is what they are doing. You want to run, you want to run, don't come again, run. Run, see, element local government council secretariat on fire. Olomate, see element local government council secretariat on fire. Element local government on fire. The secretariat on fire. Look at what Olomate is doing.
Sad visuals there from River State election. That was from Ikwere Obiakpo, and yes, those are the visuals from those two local government areas. So, looking at all of this now, let me bring you up to speed with what's just transpired, right? This is part of it, so let's get into another angle of it. The crisis in River State snowballed into violence, leading to the killing of a brother to Edison, the Governor Sim Fubara's chief of staff, the father of the newly elected councillor, and about 3 others. Also, 3 local government secretariats were touched by suspected thugs shortly after the Inspector General of Police, Kayode, withdrew the policemen guarding the council premises. Suspected political thugs took over a Query local government while an explosion rocked Eleme Council Secretariat. Rival groups also attempted to take over other council areas, as in River State. The development disrupted the plan, resumption of the 23 new elected local government chairmen and the swearing in of 314 councillors in the state. Omoha local government area was reportedly taken over by members of the People's Democratic Party opposed to the council poll, which was held on Saturday. The PDP and the All Progressive Congress had on Sunday rejected the conduct and the outcome of the local government election, stating that no election was held in Rivers State on Saturday. And yes, so that is that from Rivers State. We are going to get into the other angle of Benue State, where a similar incident is happening. But that brings me to the point where I will have to introduce my guest, who is a legal practitioner, like I rightly mentioned, Mr. Robinson Robert Mwere. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on today's edition.
Good afternoon, Samuel. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So, looking at all of this, let me just start with, do you think that there was an election in River State as at Saturday?
Yes, there was actually an election in River State.
Yes.
Even in my local government area, Abuja East local government area, my polling unit, I saw people came out in their numbers to exercise their franchise, and I think it happened across other local government areas as well.
Yes.
You could see video clips and other, even on social media, from the polling units in Port Harcourt City local government. We even saw a press interview by the newly elected chairman of Port Harcourt City local government area, that's Mr. Ichematsi,
yes,
where after he cast his votes, he spoke to the press as well and told them about the conduct of the polls. It was relatively quite peaceful during the election, of course, and you could see that 22 out of 23 seats were won by the APP, which is, prior to this time, relatively unknown in River State.
Yes.
And there was even a victor from the AC in Echi local government area. So I think there was actually elections in the state. Some people decided not to come out, of course, which is not unusual. We could remember that in the last governorship election in River State, there was also the issue of voter apathy, where after the presidential election, where people came out in their numbers to vote, maybe some of them were not happy with how the election went. And that number was not replicated in the governorship election. So it's very normal. It's one thing in Nigeria, there's usually the issue of voter apathy, especially in LG polls. So of course that happened as well in River State. Some people, for certain reasons, did not see fit to come out to cast their vote, but there was actually election. There was distribution of voters' materials and everything. And I even have a relative that was one of the returning officers returning officers in our East local government area where I come from. So there was actually election.
So from your relative now, he says everything went smoothly?
Yes, on the day of the election everything went quite smoothly. People came out, there were no issues. Of course, there were protests in some areas. But the protest was mainly in Port Harcourt.
In Port Harcourt City.
State capital, Port Harcourt. But in the local government areas, we didn't see those protests. People came out and voted, and it was very peaceful because there was no disruption of votes. The police were not there, of course, because they said they have an order from the court to stay away from the election. The police were not there, but people came out to vote in a very orderly fashion, cast their votes, and left. And later, of course, the results of the election were announced.
Okay, so what would you say is the reason behind this uprising? And then we're seeing, local government headquarters being put in place and all of that. What would you say is the cause of all this uprising?
Okay, we know very well that before the election, before the LG polls are held on Saturday,
yes,
the People's Democratic Party, which is also the party of the governor,
yes,
had gone to court to say that the election. They didn't even say the election should not go on, right?
Yes.
They just said INEC should not release the election materials to RISEC, which is the state's electoral body.
Yes.
That they shouldn't release election materials to them, and the police too should not provide security for the elections,
yes,
which was of course granted by the Federal High Court by Justice Lifo in the FCT, and then the police stayed away. And INEC too also did not release materials, but RISEC went ahead to conduct the election
yes,
with materials that were already available to them, I think, from the 2023 elections.
Yes.
So the argument of the people from the People's Democratic Party was that according to the electoral rules,
yes,
you're supposed to give a 90 days notice if you want to conduct
an
LG
election.
polls.
Yes.
And according to them, that was not fulfilled.
Okay.
The notice was not given. They felt the election was just being conducted abruptly. And if you can remember, the PDP was not, they didn't present candidates for the elections as well. It was just the APC, the Labour Party, and other parties, and the APP, of course, that presented candidates for the election. So the PDP did not present candidates for the election, and they felt it was wrong for you to just, to them it was like an ambush.
Okay.
Yeah, you were just ambushing them. You didn't give them the statutory required notice to conduct an election. So how can you just come all of a sudden and say you want to conduct the election?
Yes.
So they didn't have enough time to campaign, to get their house in order. And we know we can very well trace this to all the political quagmire that has been going on in Rivers State for a while now, where the governor feels that he's not in control of his party structure in his state, which ordinarily should not be the case. So that is why he didn't care what his party members were saying, that you didn't give them the statutory notice before you conduct an election. So that were some of the issues, and that was one of their misgivings. Of course, in the day of the election, they were protesting.
Yes.
The PDP and some members of the APC. In Rivers State now, APC is actually factionalized. There's a court-recognized chairman, which is Emeka Bike, and then you have Tony Okocha on the other side, which the court said that he should stop parading himself as the chairman of the party in the state. So the Tony Okocha's faction and members of the PDP came out en masse to protest. They even went all the way to RISEC office as well to protest. And of course, the protest went on deaf ears, because obviously the governor said there was nothing that was going to stop the conduct of the elections, which actually held, and it happened the way it happened. And then I think the violence that is erupting, we can't really tell, because you can't say who is doing it for now, because there's no evidence on ground that anybody is the one carrying out those acts.
Yes,
exactly. Of course, some people were not happy with how it went, and some were even threatening. If you could see, like local government areas like Ahoda East and Ahoda West local government, even before the councillors and vice chairmen were sworn in by the chairman, you could see that members of the other faction, people that were the local government chairman before now, they went to those council secretariats with their supporters, and they said, since the IGP has asked the police to vacate the premises, that they refrained from going there since, because of course the police said we are taking over this place for peace to reign. So if the police is leaving, it means you're giving them the avenue to now come in and conduct their business as they were doing before, because according to them, the Amewule-led House of Assembly had earlier extended their tenure by
6 months.
An additional 6 months, exactly. So to them, in their eyes, the whole election and everything
was not even supposed to take place,
and it was not supposed to take place. So they feel they are still the legitimate occupiers of those positions. Exactly. So they went there, they addressed their supporters and all that before they left, and the other people came in to swear. And of course, there were some fracas by allegations that it was the two factions of supporters that were having issues that led to, in places like Ahoda East, unfortunate shooting of 2 sons of that town, including the brother of the chief of staff to the governor, Chief Edison Ehe, which is very unfortunate. This is politics of bitterness. At the end of the day, they are all the same people. They are all brothers and sisters. So I don't understand the reason why they should be killing each other for political positions. It's highly unfortunate. And then you see areas like Obiakpo local government area where there was rampant shooting in Eleme local governments and Eleme, Emoha, and Ikwere local governments. The local government secretariats were actually burnt. You could see explosions fire and all that, which is highly unfortunate. We don't really know the perpetrators of this for now. The police has not actually issued any statements to that regard, but we are hoping that the police will swing into action and carry out necessary investigations to bring out the culprits and make them face the book.
Why do you think the police had to withdraw, that is from the IG now, why do you think he has to withdraw his police officers, given the fact that, peace and, calmness has not been, in most of these local governments? Why do you think that he had to withdraw his men?
Okay, just like the IGP earlier stated, when the governor, there was an incident that happened, I think 2 nights to the election, where armed policemen with like 2 trucks and some police vans went to the River State Electoral Commission. We don't know what they went there to do. Actually, they said they had information that some people wanted to vandalize the premises. That's why they went there. That's the official statement of the police. But the governor's supporters were alleging that the police went there to seal the premises.
So as not to carry on with the election.
Allow them to go on with the election. Exactly. So, and then, of course, the governor accused the IGP of being partial, which, of course, he has apologized for his utterance before. And then when the IG released a statement, he said the police are neutral here, that what they did was to protect lives and property and try to secure the property of Frisek. And furthermore, they have a court order asking them not to participate in the election. So they cannot go against the court order. They've received 2 different orders from different courts of coordinate jurisdiction. You have the High Court of River State giving an order that the election should go on. And then you have an order of the Federal High Court in Abuja saying that police should not provide security for the election and INEC should not release materials. Electoral materials for the conduct of the election. So the police said they are neutral here, and I'll give it to the IG. In reality, I believe they're actually being neutral. They sent policemen earlier on to man all the secretariats, all the council secretariats in the states because of the issues that were happening, where 2 different factions were claiming ownership of those secretariats. So they know very well that election has now been conducted, local government election has now been conducted in line with the Supreme Court judgment.
That's in River States now.
Yes, the Supreme Court judgment actually applies to every state of the Federation because it states that caretaker committees, caretaker chairmen will no longer be recognized, and therefore allocation will no longer be sent to them. That all states are to conduct local government elections and elect chairmen into their local government areas. And give full autonomy as well to the local government areas to run their business. So the police on that information say, okay, fine, since the Supreme Court gave a decision, election has now been conducted, I think it is fair to recognize this newly elected chairman as the legitimate occupiers of these offices. So let's leave their offices for them so that they can conduct governance. And I believe it was on that premise that the police withdrew. But of course, the statement was that they would withdraw for business of governance to go on, but if there are any issues, they are going to come back. That was what the police said. So I believe the police are being completely fair and going the way they should.
Okay, looking at the court order from the Federal High Court here in Abuja saying the electoral body in River State shouldn't go ahead and release. Why do you think the court gave that order as a legal practitioner that you are?
Okay, it was actually based on evidence before the courts.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so many people criticize the court for giving that order, but I don't know if they have read the judgment of the court. Because before you criticize something, I think you should take your time to go through it to see the judgment of the court, if it actually follows the law or not. Yeah, there are the assertions that a state high court in River State has already given a go-ahead for the election to go on. And then some people say that the FCT, the Federal High Court in the FCT gave a contrary ruling to that of the State High Court, and they are both courts of coordinate jurisdiction. But if you look at the judgment of the Federal High Court, the Federal High Court didn't say elections should not
hold. Okay.
It didn't say that. They just said police, since the RISEC, the electoral body in Rivers State, failed to give the statutory notices that they were supposed to give for the elections to go on, that the police should not provide security for that election.
On that note.
Police should not provide security for the election. And INEC should not release the electoral materials to RISEC. That they should give the due statutory notice to all parties involved, and then election can go on. So they didn't say don't conduct election. No, they just said police, if they insist that they want to do election, police don't provide security. And INEC don't release materials.
Yes.
It was a way of trying to compel RISEC to do the right thing. Exactly. Yes. So I don't think the Federal High Court erred in giving the judgment that they give. And besides, it was a judgment. It was a judgment, not an interlocutory order. It was not like the other people were not put on notice. Both lawyers argued their case before the court. The court won't give evidence based on won't give a judgment based on hearsay or based on what one person said. Both court parties presented their case before the court, and it was based on their argument that the court entered judgment in that regard. So I won't fault the Federal High Court for that decision at all.
Do you agree with the APC and the PDP that the elections that were conducted in River State were illegal?
No, I don't agree that the elections were illegal. If you're saying the election is illegal, on which premise are you saying that the election is illegal?
Because they said they are going to go battle it out in court.
Exactly. That is the right avenue. I was even going to say that if you think that the election is illegal, I won't even make an argument on it if they've already filed their matters in court. It's just because it's not before the court yet. That's why I'm even commenting on it. Because once matters are sub judice, you allow the court to give a judgment on it. I think it's for both parties to go and argue their case before the court. Even the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria already said so, that if you have issues, go and argue your case before the court. I know I can say beforehand that it's still going to be very difficult for them, especially the People's Democratic Party, because it's now a post-election matter. And how do you argue a post-election matter in an election you were not a part of? You don't really have the locus to do that. Maybe the APC can try to
because
raise the argument
they participated in the election,
but not the PDP, who were not party to the election at all. And even if the APC wants to, anyway, the matter is going to go to court. Most likely it's going to go to court, and then they are going to argue their case and see how they think it was illegal.
Okay, we'll be going on a very quick break, and then when we return, we'll have other conversation live from different angles of this subject matter. Just stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you very much for sticking around, and we've been having an interesting conversation. Now, in the light of the law, it's looking as if the court didn't technically say, do not conduct election. The court was just like, okay, hold on, do the right thing before you continue. From the statement that has been made by Mr. Robert. Let's have this conversation. Looking at APP now, that basically a whole lot of persons don't even know that there's a party like that exists, right? So how comes, out of nowhere, sweeping 22 out of 23 local governments? Do you think there was an anti-party activities that happened? Because looking at the past 2023 election, where we had the former governor of River State, yes, the person is Honorable Minister, or the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Wike, he said he was going to deliver River State to the All Progressive Congress, and then he did that. Now he's a minister, and then PDP tagged it as an anti-party stuff. So do you think this is also going to be tagged as an anti-party activity, given the fact that under the watch of a PDP governor in River State, APP swept 22 local governments?
Okay, if you want to say anti-party, I don't understand anti-party.
Meaning
Allegedly anti-party against who?
Against the PDP.
Anti-party against the PDP.
Like, okay, now we have River State is a PDP state.
Yes.
And then if you're looking at other states where they've had these elections, we've seen that.
No, I understand what you mean by anti-party, but I don't know if you want to allege an anti-party. Who are you alleging it against?
Against the governor. Yes.
I don't think it's any way anti-party against the governor. Firstly, we have to consider the fact that the People's Democratic Party did not participate in the
first place.
Yeah, they didn't participate in the election, so you cannot say that the governor did something to favor another party against his own party, because his party it's just like you are trying to solve you are a referee in a boxing match between England and the United States of America, and then you elect that so person, maybe the United States won the election, the boxing match. Yes. Nigeria cannot come and cry that you're being unfair to us, because Nigeria did not participate in that contest. So there's no way you can say the governor did anti-party activity. Again, if he's anti-party, it has to be against his party. But his party was not
even present
part of the elections at all. So you can't say he did anything to favor another party against his own party.
Yes.
And secondly, I think it's also the beauty of democracy, because if an election went on and a relatively unknown party were able to sweep so many seats, I think we should applaud the governor for that, if anything, because I don't think the governor, I don't want to say that the governor actually supported anybody, because there's no evidence
that shows that
to prove that the governor was in support of anybody. Everybody went to campaign. People did campaign, but it's as if some people, and like the APP in this case now, did more aggressive campaigns, because I saw lots of campaign by the APP. I didn't really see campaigns by any other party in River State. So if you sleep on something and then somebody puts in the work and then get the results for it, you cannot say, how did he get the results for it? He actually worked for it, so he got it. Yes. They did campaign. They did like a very, they put all their energy, a resolute campaign. They went all out, all around the states, different senatorial districts, different local government areas, and then they went all around campaigning for their candidates. And I think that's why they were able to win most of those areas. But we can see that even in, just like I mentioned before, in Eche local government area, the AC, which is also a relatively unknown party in River State, also won the local government council election in Eche. Are we going to say that the governor also favored that person? Because the candidate of the AC that won the election, he was in the APC. He is a member of the APC. He did come to the AC to contest under the AC and won the election. APP did not win in Eche local government area. So I think it's the beauty of democracy. If anything, I think we should even applaud the governor for being completely neutral and allowing the will of the people to take preeminence, even despite the fact that the police did not participate in the election. It's still one of the freest and fairest elections I've seen conducted in Nigeria of recent.
Okay, looking at those angles now, despite, in other states, let's look at Benue State now. Just yesterday, the governor of Benue State swore in his newly elected local government chairman, and then technically they all APC swept all local government chairs in the local government areas, and then swept all chairs as well. There's 276 councillorship chairs in the same local government area. Now, can we say that democracy is taking its toll, like it's actually being played out in all of these elections that were conducted, given the fact that we just witnessed that the sitting governor is from a particular party, and then people coming in to be the local government chairman and councillors are also from the same party? Can we say that this is actually the will of the people?
I think that question can be answered in two ways. One, we can make the argument that it's actually the will of the people. There's this tendency by people to always be close to governance. That is why some of us even make the argument that Nigerian presidential elections should not be coming first anymore. Presidential elections should even be coming last after local government, after the governorship election and all that. Because if you watch the landscape, how things usually goes, if there's presidential election,
Yes.
if, for example, the APC wins the presidential election, the likelihood of the APC sweeping more states in the governorship election is very high.
High, okay.
Very, very high. It's more likely that, except in areas where the PDP has very, very strong hold and support base. Otherwise, anywhere that is like 50-50, people are going to tilt more towards the APC because the president is a member of the APC. So they want to bring their states closer to governance because they believe it will bring in more dividends of democracy for them as well. So this thing usually replicates in conduct of local government council elections as well.
Yes.
So many people know that the governor is a member of this party. Most times they want to vote along that line. They want to vote with the governor's party so they can bring themselves closer to the governance, and they will get direct dividends of democracy as well.
Yes.
I'll give you an example of Akwa Ibom State as well. Very similar. I think Akwa Ibom State also conducted elections over the weekend, and it was a similar situation there. Although that one, the PDP won 30 council election and the APC won just one, which is in the local government area of the current Senate president.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. You know, the current Senate president is on ground in his local government area, so it's very difficult to come and dislodge him there. The people are with him, so they voted the candidate of his party. But other local government areas, the people wanted to be close to the state governor, so that's why they voted in that line. There's also the argument, of course, which of course is an allegation, that most times this state electoral body just write results. They just write results to favor the party of the governor because the governor controls the party. It's an allegation that has not been proven at all.
Yes.
But if we say we want to even curtail that, I think I would suggest that going forward, because it's now making a nonsense of the whole local government autonomy that the Supreme Court gave. If the Supreme Court says local government areas should have autonomy and they shouldn't be subject to control of the state governor anymore, why are you still creating the avenue where the state governor can still control them when the state governor is in control? Kind of, the state is still controlling the electoral body of the state who elects local government chairmen. If that responsibility is taken from the state government and given to national, which is INEC now in this case, I feel then if INEC is now conducting that election, you won't, I doubt we'll be seeing these instances where local government elections are conducted and it's just like a carry-go. The governor's party sweeps everything. Single thing. So if INEC conducts, because for example now we see with the national election that INEC conducts, right? You see people going to House of Reps from unknown parties that doesn't have any governor. For example, you have representatives of YPP, the Young People's Party, in the House of Reps right now in Akwa Ibom State. For example, they have a member in the House of Reps from YPP. You have members of House of Reps and Senate from the NMPP. You have members of the Senate and House of Reps from the Labour Party and other parties as well, because INEC conducts those elections. So INEC is a bit more fair during the conduct of elections compared to state electoral bodies where the governor just tells them that he wants to have a structure. So you must put the people he wants to work with in those local government council elections. So if we say we want to really enforce the issue of local government autonomy, I think it is necessary for maybe the Attorney General to still go to court, go back to the Supreme Court again, and try to remove the power to conduct local government elections from the state electoral body to the national electoral body. That way would have very independent people that are not going to be cowing to the wills and caprices of the governor becoming local government council election. I think that's one of the issues that probably played out in Benue State as well. If INEC were the one that conducted that election, I doubt all those seats and councillorship positions would have gone to the party of the governor. Okay, so are you trying to say that more needs to be done now in ways for this local government autonomy to have its own foothold? Yes. If we say we want to deepen democracy in this country, I think that initiative should be taken. As much as possible, the conduct of local government polls should be done by INEC as well. I know it's going to be more work for INEC because, of course, conducting elections in over 707 local councillorship positions across the nation is not going to be an easy feat at all. But I think it's doable, because if we say we really want to deepen our democracy, we want to have a complete government of the people, by the people, and for the people, it is necessary to take that power from the state electoral body to the national electoral body, so we can have a freer and fairer elections in the council polls, and you have a local government council that has autonomy, real autonomy, and not the one that they are doing right now, that the governor is still dictating what happens in those councils.
Okay, looking at the fact that Mr. President says everybody should go and sort out their differences in court. You know, he has never spoken since all of this started, and then yesterday he just gave this speech, and then you all just go settle and then find your fitting in court. What's your reaction to that?
That has always been my position, actually, and I think the president did the right thing. That's the best position to take. If there are issues, go to court and settle it. It's actually the best position to take, because if they go to court, maybe most likely, as it usually happens, especially in political cases in Nigeria, after a federal high court gives judgment, they'll most likely go on appeal. When they go appeal, whatever the court of appeal gives, they'll still go to Supreme Court. And once the Supreme Court gives a decision on those issues, it will be settled once and for all. Nobody is going to argue and try to, in states like River State now that we have issues, every River citizen has suddenly become a lawyer. Every River citizen, even the one that has not seen the four walls of a university, even the one that is a mechanic, has become a lawyer, and he has started arguing law, saying this is the position of the law and that is the position of the law. But if the Supreme Court, if they go to court and the court gives a ruling, gives a judgment, and they finally go to Supreme Court gives a judgment on it, I think that will be end of it all. The Supreme Court says we are not, according to Oputa JSC of blessed memory, he said we are not final because we are infallible, but we are infallible because we are final. Supreme Court is the final court of the land, and after the Supreme Court, if you are not happy with any judgment given by the Supreme Court, the next person you can appeal to, of course, is God, and God is not going to come down from heaven to answer whatever issues you have. So I think it was the best decision that the president could ever make, and the best statement he can ever give. You know, he tried profiling a political solution before this time, when the whole fracas started between the current minister of the FCT, the past governor of River State, Ezebunwo Nyesom Wike, and the governor of River State, Asimilai Fubara. The president tried to broker a peace accord, which they signed, of course, but peace accord is a piece of paper. There's no legal backing on it, and so many people argued that those terms in the peace accord, most of them we are not even, it cannot stand the test of time if it goes to court. That some of those things that the peace of accord were asking them to do were even wrong in the eyes of the law. So if they signed the peace accord and it didn't really work because the issue has still been there up till date, the best thing for you to do, if you want to end the issues once and for all, is go to court. So I completely applaud the president on his stance and issuing that statement. So parties should go to court, and whatever the court says at the end of the day would apply.
Okay, let's look at this newly elected local government chairman in all of these states where we had elections. How key is it going to be for them now to cover up corruption from the grassroots level now that they have local government autonomy?
How key is it going to be for them to curb corruption? Corruption,
because now a whole lot is expected from them, just like the president now supervises everything that his ministers does. So now the governors now have a way to be able to manage all of this chairmen in the terms that they have local government autonomy, in terms of the fact that they get allocations straight from the federal account to them. So how key is it going to be that those monies that gets to the local government, that's the grassroots now, gets into infrastructure and development, healthcare, welfare, all of that?
That's actually important. It's very, very important, because that is actually the intent of the proponents of local government autonomy. People that argue for the cause of local government autonomy, the argument was so that governance can be close to the people, so that the elected chairman and council chairman can be getting their allocation directly to them, and they can bring governance closer to the people. They can hear the the worries of the people directly and try to solve those issues. But talking about how they are going to check corruption and all that, I don't think it's really within their power to check that, because at the end of the day, the ones people that are not good, not all of them of course, but some persons that are at the helm of affairs now will still be the ones to mismanage those funds. For example, the president doesn't necessarily supervise his ministers. He appoints those ministers, but then you have the ICPC and the EFCC as well to check excesses of these persons, and then you have the CCB as well to make sure that everybody does not mismanage funds and do what they are supposed to do. So the governor, of course, would allow them have their autonomy, the funds to go directly to them. But this is also one of the arguments I make, that I don't think the local government autonomy is still applying fully the way it should, because, you know, right now, if the governor is not comfortable with any of the local government chairmen and he has issues with the person, or maybe he thinks the person is not being loyal, and he has stooges in the House of Assembly, he can still push for the House of Assembly to remove that, maybe suspend or remove the local government chairman.
Just like what happened in Lagos State.
Yes, just like what happened in Lagos State. It happened many times in Rivers State as well. They remove local government chairmen. It's not the governors that remove them, it's the state assembly. But the governor can actually impress on the state assembly to do that. But I don't think it should be that way anymore. If you say the local government is still autonomy, why is the state still controlling them? I think the power to impeach the local government chairman should go to the council. The local government council, the councillors who are like the legislators should have that power to check, because they know what is happening in their local government area. Yes, they are closer. They work with the local government chairman. They know what is happening. If he's derelict his duty, they know that as well. Not the State House of Assembly. For example, now you want to remove the local government chairman of Ahoda East local government area, and maybe the governor asks people to do that. The Ahoda East member of the House of Assembly says, no, I'm not going to vote for him to be removed. The Ahoda West member say, the two constituencies in Ahoda East say, I'm not going to vote for him to be removed. And then the people from Eche, Ikwere, Eleme, all of them vote for him to be removed. They are not in that local government. They are not members of that local government. Yet they are voting for somebody who is not from their local government to be removed as a local government chairman. It doesn't make any sense at all. So if we say we want this local government, we want to actually apply full local government autonomy, the power to remove the local government chairman should be in that local government. The councillors should have that power and not the State House of Assembly. So I think these are some of the issues that maybe the Attorney General
needs to revisit.
Still needs to address, exactly, if you want to give complete autonomy to the state's local government areas. Because right now, somehow they are still under the control and the authority of the governor. Because anyone that the governor is not comfortable with any day, for example, like all the ones in Benue State, if any of them now decamp to the PDP, do you think the APC governor, who has almost all members of the House of Assembly as APC members, cannot say, I want him to be impeached, I want him to be removed and as local government chairman, and they do that? But if the House of Assembly, if the local government council, if the power is with the councillors, the governor cannot do that. Everything starts and ends at the local government area. Just like, for example, now saying House of Reps members will now vote to say they want to impeach the governor of Rivers State.
That means there's a lot of Lucanos behind all of this.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense at all. And talking about them now, the local government chairman now using the funds for what it's meant to be, I believe they should be able to do that. I can speak for my state, for example. I believe now that they have the money directly, of course, they will do the one of paying the civil servants in the states. That's actually their statutory responsibility. And then paying teachers of the primary schools as well, the primary schools, and they can also embark on some little projects like maybe providing basic amenities like borehole, helping the maternity centers in the state as well, creating health care. These are some of the what is expected of a local government chairman. Before this time, it wasn't really happening because, of course, the governor had all the powers.
Yes.
We hear allegations. We don't know how true it is. That most of them have to be sending particular amount of the governor to the governor on monthly basis. So if they are sending money to the governor for maybe his further election, future election also, which money is left for them to run the local government area? So these are some of the issues.
Okay, well, these are some of the issues, but we hope that those bodies in charge, the Federal High Court and the Attorney General, will be able to look into the local government autonomy and see if there are ways that they can be able to make a few adjustments. So the local government, the full autonomy will belong to the local government chairman. Mr. Robinson Robert Mwere, thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Midday Discuss.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so that's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition. But before we close the curtain, there is no need you fighting your brothers and sisters all because of an election. Most of these top politicians that you're fighting for and killing yourselves for are actually friends. Their children get married to each other. So at the end of the day, they will not just be friends, but they will be family members. So I would say just go exercise your civil rights, vote, and then head back home instead of disrupting lives and properties in your locality. Yes, on that note, that's how we would be closing the curtain on today's edition of Midday Discuss. My name is Samuel Odi. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.